Hi everyone, welcome to Flosstube number 1. My name is Jen. I'm Harbor Stitcher on Instagram and now here on YouTube. I am jumping into the Flosstube world, so I thought I would start out today with a little introduction about myself, a introduction to why I decided to join Flosstube, how long I've been cross-stitching, and then a WIP parade. So let's just jump in. As I said, my name is Jen. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Gig Harbor, hence Harbor Stitcher. I'm a wife and mom to 3 grown boys, 2 daughters-in-law, one officially, the other is my son's girlfriend, who I consider a daughter-in-law, and Mimi to our beautiful 4.5-month-old grandson, light of our life. Actually, as soon as I finish recording this today, I'm heading over there for a visit with him. We also have 2 fur babies. So we have a 5-year-old blue heeler, and we just adopted a 2.5-year-old Rottweiler mix puppy. We call him a puppy because he's been in shelters his entire life, so he is truly a 6-month-old puppy, training-wise, manners-wise, in a 2.5-year-old's body. So we've got some work and some fun and energy around our house right now. By day, I am the head of culture and engagement in the video game industry. So I work for a large video game publisher. You probably either play or have played, or have somebody in your family that plays the games we make. Think Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Candy Crush. So I have a pretty fun job. However, it is extremely stressful, and at the end of the day, I love to unwind with cross stitch and watching Flosstube. So why did I decide to jump into the Flosstube world? Well, I've been thinking about it for quite some time, and the last 1.5 years has been really a little bit more challenging for our family. We lost my father-in-law last year unexpectedly, and then my husband and I both had a few health scares and health situations come up. So we've really decided to kind of live this year of yes and just live life to the fullest, take the opportunities that come our way. And my husband said to me the other night, he goes, "Why don't you just do it?" And I thought, why don't I? What's been holding me back? So here I am. Here's Flosstube number 1, and we'll see how this goes. Let me tell you a little bit, I guess, about how long I've been cross-stitching. I learned to stitch when I was a young child. My mom was a cross-stitcher. I have the Christmas stockings she made for me as a child. I had beautiful cross-stitch pieces of a clown, framed, matted, everything in my room when I was growing up. I wish I still had those pieces at this point, but as a young person, didn't appreciate the effort and work that my mom had put into them. So I don't. But she taught my sister and I when we were very young. I cross-stitched on and off. When I was pregnant with my son, I started I don't know what I thought I was doing, a very large Winnie the Pooh kit. It was back in 1999, so it was my middle son. That kit is still sitting in the closet. No floss left in it, but I have the chart and the start that I got to it. But then life got crazy. Having 3 boys, my husband and I at the time owned our own business, so things were really busy, and I set it aside. But I always was sewing and dabbling in things. I was making bags, I was quilting when I could. I made my boys pajamas all the time when they were young. And in about 2019, I was watching Kimberly at the Fat Quarter Shop in one of her quilting videos and came across her Flosstube and cross-stitching. And that's kind of what started me down the rabbit hole. So I like to say it's all Kimberly's fault that I got back into this, and I'm now in the situation I'm in where I have about 27 WIPs, I think. I've gotten my mom back traveling down the rabbit hole. She is up to a good chunk of WIPs as well, which for a formerly monogamous stitcher is tough for her. But it's a lot of fun, and I want to share it all with you. I love being part of this community. I love watching a lot of the videos, talking with people on Instagram. So here I am to share my stitching. So let's just jump right in. As I said, I have a number of WIPs to show over here. I have so far this year though had 12 finishes, and you can see one of them, if I could point right, it's right here, and this is actually getting ready to go off to the state fair. He's entered in that, so we'll see how it goes. I also have UFO'd 5 projects this year that just weren't calling to me as my stitching changed, or that I didn't like the fabric I was stitching them on, so they'll be restarts. Which leaves me with my WIPs. And this first one here, which is really funny, is actually about to be another restart because I don't like my fabric choice. So this first one is, oh boy, let's figure out the glare. Cookies by the Cricut Collection. This is booklet 310. And this one, I originally started on a piece of 32 count gingerbread Lugana from Picture This Plus. Now this is showing up better on camera than it does in person. This project is very dark, and as I was stitching on it, I showed it to my husband and I said, before I go any further, what do you think? And he said, majority of that stitching is, or in the project, is this letter piece here, and that is going to not show up well. Are you sure you want to put that much work into something that's not going to show up well? And I don't think I do. I think these bright colors are wonderful and popping on here, but the letters themselves aren't. So I am going to be restarting this on a piece of unnamed, because I got it in a Friday Night Fight Night from Bestitch Me, Opal Lugana, which means it has some sparkle to it. I'm trying to catch the sparkle here, but I really think that the colors of this project are going to pop out a lot more on this sparkly fabric. And so that will be a restart, but it is a WIP technically right now. Next up we have one, oh, I do have a cover page for it. This is Carrot Cake by Carolyn Manning Designs. I think there's a lot of you right now doing Manning Monday stitch along. I unfortunately never remember to pick this up on a Monday, so mine has not shown up in that sal or in that hashtag at all. This is about how far I am on it. This one is stitched on a 32 count, I don't have a name in here, I'm pretty sure this is light taupe Lugana, just a standard Zweigart light taupe 32 count, 2/2 with all of the called for DMC. And what people say about Carolyn Manning's being relaxing stitching is very true. When you can sit down and just fill in some triangles, it is very, very relaxing stitching. Next, this is a very large project bag that I made. This is my one and only Heaven and Earth design that I've started, and it is Bonded by Rain. I'm sorry, Bonded by the Rain by Leonid Afremov. And I am stitching this one on a 25 count Easy Grid Lugana 1/1. And this is a very large piece of fabric because this is going to be a very large project. But, oops, let me get that folded over correctly here. So this is as far as I've gotten. I'm up in that top left-hand corner. Starting. I have started to use Markup RXP on my iPad. That is kind of the alternative to Pattern Keeper, and I'm enjoying it for this one. It's helping me to stay on track and to show, which is kind of fun to see your completion percentage on a project this big. I think I'm still only at about 0.6% complete, but it's fun to see. Next up is my temperature chart. I am doing the Temperature Quaker by Stitching Mommy. I think several other people might be doing this same one. And I love this chart. I did change up the color selection for it and used the broader color range that a temperature chart my mom is doing. So lots more colors pulling into this one in the way that I'm doing it. These are a disaster. These are all of the colors, and these are just on some cards that I printed out at home based off of Jen O'Neill from Quirks and Stitches. Bought them off her Etsy shop and printed them out. I've stalled out on this one, to be very honest. I was getting bored with the blues and greens of the winter and spring, and I'm also not a fan of the crunchy Ada that I chose to stitch this on. So here's where I am right now. This is just a white 18 count Ada doing 1/1. Again, you can see a lot of the same colors was just getting a little boring, and so I've put it away for a bit, and I will come back to it now that we're going to start to get some of those nice bright reds and oranges for the summer heat in there. Next up is one that I started last year and then restarted it a week later because I didn't like the fabric, and now I think I don't like my fabric choice again and will be restarting it. And this is Dog's Declaration by Ink Circles. Very fitting with our dogs, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of squirrels. They definitely get on a mission outside when they see a squirrel in the trees, and thank goodness we have a 6-foot fence all the way around our backyard, because our new dog Archie is definitely he definitely has a very strong prey drive and chases anything, the bunnies, the squirrels, all of that. So this one's very, very accurate. I am stitching this one on 18 count Cream and Sugar from Fiber on a Whim, and I'm loving the stitching and the way the chart looks. I am not loving the fabric itself, should I say. I think I've moved away from 18 count Ada, and I have a lot of projects on it right now that just aren't calling to me. So it's possible I may switch this out for a different version of Cream and Sugar. I might get a 36 count linen or something else so that I enjoy stitching on it. Next up is in another bag. This is, I think, the second bag I ever made. And this one is Happy Ever After by Long Dog Samplers. I love this one. I chose to do it in a very different colorway. This one is on 18 count Shaker Khaki by XJU Designs. I'll stop there and let me just ask. Is it XJU or XJU? I've heard people say it every way, so please correct me if I'm saying it incorrect. This fabric is gorgeous though. I'm gonna put a board behind it. And I'm using my first ever Silks for You floss. So, let's see if we can get this here. This is my start. I'll bring it in so you can see that variegation. That is all one floss. This Silks for You, it is PR 181. Bought a hank of it, and I did ensure that as I was doing the border, I started the next piece of floss with the color that I ended the previous one with. For the body of the chart, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stitch away and the colors will fall where they fall. Let me show you these beautiful colors. And I'm so sorry everything's blowing out. I will figure out this lighting situation with the camera moving forward. But you can see that this floss, all one color. I've cut some strands of it that are here on this Blackbird Designs floss chart. But this was a full, sorry for the, a full hank that I just cut pieces of and am stitching this piece with. So loving this. Really need to get back to it because I think it's going to look gorgeous when it's completed. But it is again one that's on an Aida and just hasn't been calling to me as much. Maybe I need to do Aida August. Since I just spent July, if you follow me on Instagram, you might see that I just spent July stitching borders. I grabbed every one of my projects that had a border and set about trying to get the border completed. Maybe now I need to set a separate challenge for myself and do Aida August, where I grab all these projects that are on Aida and haven't been calling to me and work on them. See if I can hold myself to that. Because here's another one. This is the chart that got me back into stitching. It is So She Did, Lori Holt, Be in My Bonnet. I think everybody has seen this chart and done it. This is the one that when I saw Kimberly showing it at one point on a Flosstube, I decided, you know what, I need that. I was quilting a lot. You can see one back here, and there's a baby quilt of my mom's here. I was quilting a lot and thought that'd be really cute in my quilting room. Well, now I cross stitch way more than I pull out any quilting. But this is as far as I've gotten, and I have a little section in here that I need to frog out because I attempted to stitch in hand with this piece and the tension was completely different than when I was stitching it in the hoop. So got a lot more fill in there. What I have found though is that's a good piece when I'm traveling for work. I do travel down to our headquarters in California a bit. Next month I'm going to Wisconsin to one of our locations. It's a good fill-in piece, and since it's on 14 count Aida 2/1, it's a very easy stitching to see, and I don't need great light or I just throw on some readers and can stitch on it on the plane. Next up in another me-made bag. This is a design of bag that I have taken the vinyl front tutorial from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch and I've modified it to be fabric only because I'm not a fan of vinyl front bags, but I love the shape and the binding of them. So you'll see a few of these in here. These are now my mom's favorite style bags that I make for her as well. And so you'll see a few of these, but this one houses another ink circles. This is 5 o'clock. And I will tell you a funny story. At Jingle Ball last year, Tracy was on and talking about where she had worked through her career. And I thought, that sounds like it's out at the Hanford site, which if you live in Washington, you know about the Hanford nuclear site and all of the history of that. My husband and I actually lived over there for 7 years, and he did work at the site for a bit. But my father-in-law had recently retired from the site and had worked there a majority of his career after getting out of the Navy. And so I reached out to Tracy and I was like, did you work at the site? She said yes. Found out that she and my father-in-law actually worked just a couple desks away from each other for a large part of their career. So it's such a small world when you start paying attention to what people are saying and their stories. You can connect a lot of dots, which is really fun. But back to Ink Circles 5 o'clock. This one was a start. I just had to start it for the summer. I don't have much done, but it's super fun, and I'm going to be getting back to this one really soon. Let me get my tiny, tiny little center start here. This is the center. That is the grapefruit center of the clock and a pickle. I would hold it back here, but I think, oh, that's actually probably a better representation of the fabric. I am doing this one on 18 count, I believe it's jade. Yes, this is 18 count jade by Picture This Plus. This is a gorgeous green, and I love the modeling in it. So again, good candidate for Ada August. I might have to go along with that. And the last one that I have here in this bin is actually another bag. Me-made bag following the Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch tutorial. This one is Mary Poppins by the Little Stitcher. I think a few people have also seen and stitched this one. I believe Kathy from Two Needles Pulling Thread stitched this one a while back, so you can probably go see a beautiful finished version if you watch one of their old videos. This one will need a board behind it. This is my stitching on it right now. As you can see, got Mary's coat outlined. This is again one that I take for plain stitching, so it doesn't get much viewing in my day-to-day rotation. I don't pick it up often. This is a work travel stitch because I can just stitch away to fill in. I finished her umbrella on my last trip to Santa Monica. It's great on the flight. Coming up in about 2 weeks, I think I'll be heading back down again, and I'll probably be filling in her coat or maybe her handbag a little bit more. And this one is on a piece, here's my card. This one's on a piece of 16 count Dapple by Picture This Plus. And the Mary Poppins needle minder, which is so cute, is from Mad for Minders. I've gotten hooked. Let me tell you, when I got back into cross stitch, I said to my mom, I don't understand the need for all these things. Project bags, needle minders, I just want to stitch. Boy, was I wrong, and I have quickly gone down the rabbit hole of all the things. My mom's even now making some little bling for our bags. She's gone down the rabbit hole, so we fell hard very quickly when we got back into it. Put all these projects back in the bin here, and I'm sorry if you're hearing all the rattling. I do have tags on each bag. You might have noticed that I keep them labeled. I'm gonna swap out bins. Next up, and I hope you're hanging in here with me, and I know I'm going fast, so I really hope that if you have any questions about any projects, you reach out in the comments, and I'll try to learn how to put as much as I can in the description box. I did unzip every bag though before starting, because I've learned that by watching people. So this one is another me-made bag with some fabric I think I found at Michael's at one point in their new quilting area. And this one houses one of my oldest WIPs. I love patriotic. I was actually born on Memorial Day, and for some reason I think that has just always stuck with me as a patriotic piece of my life. And then we have a lot of military in our family. We live right between two military bases, so I love stitching patriotic, and this was one of the first ones, which is Bent Creek Glory. I'll try to get rid of that glare. This is such a beautiful piece, but it is so stitch heavy. I don't know what I was thinking when it was one of the very first pieces I started. I started this piece back in 2021, I believe, and it's on 25 count potato Lugana. And honestly, it's basically a full coverage piece. I'm slowly but surely getting there. But you don't realize how much stitching and how dense that stitching is. So this is one I actually now have started to keep next to the couch downstairs, so that when I'm watching TV with my husband or we're just hanging out down there with the kids over, it's 25 count, 2 over 2, so very easy stitching, and I just let that one sit there so that I can pick it up and stitch on it without much effort. Next is, this is from the Black Needle Society, the Gilmore Girls retreats in a box that they do. I have the 3 that have been released and are out already, which is Autumn, Spring, and Summer. I am still working on the very first one, Autumn. Once I finish Autumn, I have Spring and Summer, that they all connect together in one piece. And I believe in October, the Winter, which is the final piece, box goes on sale. Trust me, I'm watching for that. I love stitching on this. I actually picked this up the other day just to take a break from my July borders stitching. I picked this up to work on it a bit more. But again, it's a full coverage. They're 100% a full coverage. I'll try to get that in there so you can see. I love it. This is Copper Boom. And if you're a fan of Gilmore Girls, then you know where that comes from and what that is. What I will say about these, though, is the amount of colors needed to do all 4 seasons. Prepare yourself, stitchers. It's a lot. Right now, this is the colors for Autumn and Summer. And then I have a bag here with some more of the fancy floss for Spring. And we don't have Winter yet. So this is definitely one that you need a good size bag, and you go stash diving if you need to. But I think the finished product will be worth it because I am a huge Gilmore Girls fan. I rewatch it every year. It's kind of my holiday TV watching. So in the games industry, it's very common that we close all the studios for the 2 weeks at the end of the year. And it's wonderful to have a 2-week break to spend with family, not be having to take vacation time. But it's also when I tend to just start binge watching something and stitch. And that happens to usually be Gilmore Girls every year that I binge watch. Now in this, another remade bag with some little charm that my mom made for me. So this bag houses, okay, I'm not going to read it all the way through because I don't know if little ones will be listening or if people don't like swear words. So I'm just going to hold it up and I'll read it edited style. But this is by Ink and Type and it's called Christmas Vacation. This is a really great quote from the movie Christmas Vacation, which again is another tradition in our family. It's my husband's favorite Christmas movie. For a while at work, his profile picture on Zoom and on Slack and on other things for his work was actually a picture of Clark Griswold making the funny face while they were driving in the car. So definitely a favorite in this house. And it says, "And when Santa squeezes his fat white blank down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of blank holes this side of the nut house. It's a great funny quote. This one I think is about to be another restart. It's huge. To put into perspective, that is just the last 2 letters right here. This is a really big piece. I need to get my butt moving on it. But I started it with DMC 321 and just a 20 count white Aida, 1/1. The more I thought about it, the more I think that I want a little bit more interest in it. For that large of a text piece, I think I want a little bit more interest. So I'm thinking I'm gonna restart it using Buckeye Scarlet and give it a little bit of variegation. And then I got to thinking, well, if I'm already gonna restart it, what if I restart it on a piece of Rustico, so it gives it even a bit more interest. Ooh, I don't think that's gonna focus on the Rustico. I just think that'll look better, and that I will enjoy the finished piece with our Christmas decor a bit better if I restart it. So again, it's these Christmas ones. I think I just was so excited to start Christmas pieces, and now I'm not liking any of the fabric that I've started them on. Next up is I was just trying out another style of bag to see if I liked it. Made this one. This bag is not just one project. What I do with this bag is I actually have just a whole bunch of smalls. So if I print it out from a magazine, if I have been given a super small little piece, I have a couple of my Dirty Annies, What Would Dolly Do, and Talk to Me Goose. Just a lot of smalls in here, so that when I'm feeling the need to stitch a small, I can just pick up this bag, kit one up real quick, and grab it, because I know they're all in here. The one that's on the go at the moment is the 2018 Prairie Schooler Santa. Oh, this one's so cute. And people are not lying when they say that Prairie Schoolers are also comfort stitching. There is something soothing about the pattern, the colors, all of that. I am doing this one exactly as called for. So this is 18 count putty khaki Davos fabric. I don't know what that means. It looks like an Aida, it stitches like an Aida, but if you can see, those holes are really loose for an 18 count. So I think that's the Davos part of it that makes it something different. That is the one small I have in there on the go, and I think I have about 20 others that I can pick from when I decide I want to stitch another small or change it up a bit. Next up, we have a Barbara Anna. This is Barbara Anna Dreaming Girl. This one really struck me because not only, as the harbor stitcher, love the water, we live right by the water, anything that's nautical speaks to me because of where we live and what our life is. But also the red hair. This is going to sound silly, but growing up as a redhead in the 80s, you didn't see a lot of yourself out there, and I had Anne of Green Gables and Pippi Longstocking. When The Little Mermaid came out, I thought, oh my gosh, red hair is not so weird. Look at that. And so I still get pulled to stitch things that portray a redhead. It sounds so silly because it's like the little girl in me still coming out. But it's one of those things. And so this one drew me in for a number of reasons. I am stitching this one on 18 count cornflower by Fiber on a Whim. And let me see if I can get this to show. It's a very small start on it, but yeah, let me get this color. That's a little bit more true to color on the cornflower. And I'm gonna pull it in here. I love what looks like, I know these are gonna get filled in, but they look like quilt squares throughout her hair. And I just think that is so pretty. And I actually don't know why this is one I don't pull out to work on anymore. I started it and then it's just kind of sat there. Next up is a Salt Box Sampler by Brenda Gervais. This is another one that was, I'm sorry, I'm trying again to get rid of that glare, inspired by Lori Holt, actually. So I'm stitching a Lori Holt pattern, but this one is inspired by Lori Holt. When I saw her finish in one of her old Flosstubes, I have restarted this one twice because of fabric choices that I was not happy with. So not as far along as I would like to be, but that's because I've restitched the same areas several times. I am stitching this one on 16 count wheat by Fiber on a Whim. So it's really making, let's try to get these colors pop. Those blues and reds are warm tones, but they're showing up just amazing on this fabric. And now I'm happy with the fabric and need to get back to it. I started that one July 4th of last year, restarted it July 16th of last year, and really haven't picked it up since. Again, another one I need to get back to. Now I know when I hear Flosstubers do a WIP parade, why they say that so often. It really does make you want to pick all your projects back up again when you look at them and talk about them and get excited about them again. Next up is Silver Creek Samplers Give Greatly. I started this one, I believe, in my 12 by 12 New Year's Eve. Nope, this was a Christmas start. Started this Christmas of last year. But I believe the Primrose Cottage gals have done a stitch along recently to finish it. I should have joined in on that in order to get mine finished, but it's okay. This one will get finished soon. I love it. I changed it up a little bit. You'll notice this one is stitched on a nice neutral fabric. I have chosen to do mine slightly different, and I think he's just looking so cute on there. I love how the colors are popping. This is I know it's a 25 count from Hobby Lobby. Yep, this is a 25 count steel blue Lugana from the Zweigart Artiste brand at Hobby Lobby. And I just love how it's popping. I really enjoy blues for any winter stitching. There's something, I think the whites pop on it, and it just feels cold and wintry to me to use blue fabrics for those. And the last one in this bin is another one that you've probably seen around quite a bit, and I'm just way behind on, which is Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé. And this one I'm doing a monochromatic with Anchor Black. So instead of 310, I chose to give Anchor Black a try and see if what everybody says about it being better coverage than 310 is true. And I apologize if you can hear my dogs barking. They are downstairs, but my window's open and so is theirs because they like to watch the world. So you may be hearing them. Someone must be walking by outside. I am stitching this one, like I said, with Anchor Black on an unnamed piece of fabric from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. This is an 18 count Aida. I got this fabric actually from Becca at Sambry Stitches, and I just absolutely love the color of it, and I don't know if it's gonna pick it up. It's not. Let me see if I get closer. This one's so hard to catch the color of. It's almost a, let me see if I put it against the light, if that will help. That helps a little bit. It's kind of a mauve purpley brown color. But there's a lot of purple and mauve in it. So I think it looks really beautiful with this monochromatic. I am going to keep it monochromatic. I know some people add in touches of color here and there. I think I'm going to keep this one just the black and let the fabric really pop out behind it. So there's another bin complete. We are to our last couple of WIPs, and thank you so much for hanging in with me while we go through all of these and the lighting issues. Clearly I've got to figure that out for the next time around. I thought, oh, it's good light, there's no distorting of colors, there's no shadows, but we're getting the glare and we're getting a lot of washout. So promise, if I stick with this, we are going to figure out the lighting so that everything shows a bit better moving forward. Alright, next up we have Cherry Jubilee from Teresa Kogut. This was a Patreon last April, so April of 2022. It was a Patreon chart. I don't know that I've seen this one released yet in a book, and I don't know if it's one that she's planning to release in a book coming up. But I absolutely love it, and I love the saying on it. The bird who dares to fall is the bird who learns to fly. Now, if that isn't a life lesson for all of us, to just try things, don't be scared of it, give it a try, kind of like me with this video. But that's how birds learn, is they take that leap from the nest, or mama pushes them out of the nest, so that they learn to fly on their own. And sometimes, all you mamas out there know that sometimes we have to do that to our kiddos too. So it's a great lesson. Here is where I'm at right now. I'm still up in that first corner with all those beautiful cherries and little daisy cotton blossom type flowers. I'm not 100% sure what they are. They remind me of daisies since they have the yellow center. But and this one I am stitching 2/2 on a 32 count taupe Lugana, and I just think that one is so pretty. This one is a lot of fun to stitch on, and this one's actually currently pulled out to be worked on again. I'd love to have it hanging on my wall. We're getting into Teresa Kogut territory here. So this is another remade bag using Teresa Kogut fabric and a coordinating one. I got this fabric. If you live in the Northwest, there's a wonderful quilt shop called Shiplap Quilt Company in Tenino, Washington. And they actually have 2 locations. They have a warehouse and a really cute quilting and gift store. And I love going out there to find fabrics. And they carry the full line of Teresa Kogut. This is Teresa Kogut's Love Rain. Many of you have stitched this, seen it, or worked on it. This is a big one, but again, it's fun to stitch on and I love it. This one is on 32 count Lugana, color Latte by Fiber on a Whim. This one is another one in my July borders month that I need to work on, because I currently only have, pull out this blanket of fabric here. I'll just go like this. I currently just have this top. I'll just hide behind it. It's kind of like, I feel like Wilson. Isn't that his name? The neighbor on Home Improvement? Like you only ever saw his eyes. That's who I feel like. Okay, sorry. I only have this top corner done right now, but my goal is to continue around and do the entire border, just this outline part, not all the flowers, so that I know it matches up and then can start working on the inside part. So that's what I've been doing. When I say July borders, I pulled out every project I had that has a border like that. And I didn't do all the flowers or anything on them, but I've been working on stitching the border around, because then, first of all, I can do all the fun stuff in the charts after that. And second, I know it matches up, and I'm not going to stitch all of the center of a piece and then not have it match up and have to try to figure out where I went wrong and potentially frog a lot of things. I can always count off the border if I have the border done. So this one again is another me-made bag using that same revamped, I'll say, vinyl front tutorial. This is my one and only Mirabilia. This is Golden Girl apples. Living in Washington, we are the apple state, and I've wanted to do a pretty lady to see what the stitching on them is like, and so this one spoke to my heart. When I shared that I had bought it, a wonderful other stitcher named the Violet Valentine reached out, said that she had it. She lives here in Washington as well and would love to start it. So we started this one together, and we are using the hashtag Golden Girl Apple SAL. I think we've both only stitched on it one day this month since starting it, but I also know that Maggie at KitschyWips is stitching on this one, and she's joining in with us. So this one will be really fun. I'm doing it with all the called for, so even that dark brown fabric, because I think the colors just pop from that. And so I have started that upper border, and I just needed to see some yellow. I had to pop some in there even though I was doing the border, because sometimes you just need to see what the colors are going to look like. So we'll do another Wilson moment. There it is. This is 32 count milk chocolate linen by Witchell. And actually right here, I'd love to give a shout out to Paula's Hands Creates. It's an Etsy shop. I know she has a YouTube as well. And I shop her store a lot for my supplies. And I had ordered the fabric for this, and when it came in, I looked at that and I thought, that's not the right color. The tag said milk chocolate, but it was a really light color. So I reached out to her, and we jokingly discovered they mixed up the chocolates. They had sent me white chocolate instead of milk chocolate, and she was so quick to offer a prepaid return label if I wanted to return it, shipped out the correct one that same day. I ended up keeping the white chocolate and just asking her, hey, just bill me for that, which she did immediately as well. They were so quick to solve what very simple error. Milk chocolate, white chocolate, let's take all the chocolates. But I just have to give it up to their customer service. It was really, really great. Next up is a patchwork bag that I made, and I didn't know what I wanted to do on the back. And this is from a Corey Yoder line of fabric that Corey Yoder line of fabric that I love, and I had some fat quarters of, and I'm making a quilt out of. So I looked at my scraps, and I had some strips left from it. So I just pieced them together to make the back. And again, that one's using Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch's tutorial. In here, we have the blue flower acorns. I love this chart. Fall is my favorite. I do love the sun, and I love being out on the water and the beach and all that, but fall just speaks to me. I don't know. I'm a fall girl. So absolutely love this chart. Pretty much also love anything that Blue Flower designs. I am stitching this one on 32 count limestone Lugana. And this was a July border project. So we got the border is all matched up. It's one stitch off. I found where I did counted one too far here where I was marking every 30 stitches. I marked it at 31, and by then I had gone all the way around, and it was down in this bottom. I went all the way around down to this bottom corner, and I thought, I'm not ripping all that out. I'll rip out down to here, add an extra stitch, and make it match up. So I think I'll be able to fudge everything to make it work on here, and it shouldn't be a problem. Once I have that one done in this bag, I also have one I have not started yet, but it's kind of a companion piece called Autumn Acorns. There we go. And it's just a cute little pillow. And I'm going to do that one on this nice rust color, which is again a Hobby Lobby, one of those small cuts. So I think those will look really pretty displayed together when they're all completed. Next up, this bag makes me smile whenever I look at it, because this was the prototype bag where I was trying to figure out how to change up the vinyl front to fabric. And I was like, well, if it doesn't work, I don't want to ruin some of my favorite fabrics. And so I pulled out some random fat quarters that I had in my stash, and this is such a retro bag. It just makes me smile that these worked. The bag pattern worked, and now when I use this one, I chuckle because it's so not my style, but I love it. In this bag, I've got a sampler for all seasons from Scarlet House. Again, you've probably seen many people doing this one. This was a it's from the Homespun Needlework Facebook group, one of their exclusives that you could get, and I think we all jumped on this one because it's definitely been a fan favorite. I did just see, and Tanya from the Scarlet House I saw her confirm it in the Facebook group this week. She's releasing this one to the public in August. So if you missed out on it in the group, you will have an opportunity to get it then. This is one that I got the border. I had started stitching the top square and putting it in the house, and then through my July borders, I got all of the border in. This one is stitched on 8, oops, well, let's show that again without the thread hanging on it. There. Now we don't have any stray threads on there. This one is stitched on 18 count Steinbeck by Needle and Flax, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This was my first piece of her fabric, and the very subtle modeling and variegation in it, I see all the rage and why people wait for her fabrics. I'll definitely be shopping for some more of those. Definitely. And by the way, we need another First Ladies video to come out soon. I'm missing those. So, and it's the same gal from Needle and Flax. So I really hope we're gonna have another one of those videos. I love stitching and listening. Her voice is so soothing. Plus, it sends me down a rabbit hole of research on anything about that First Lady and President. So, very excited. This bag, I have Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. Again, this is one that a lot of people have stitched, but this one holds a special meaning for me. I started this on October 30th on my father-in-law's birthday. He passed January 23rd of 2022, And so on his birthday in 2022, I started this because of the Cardinals. My husband actually chose this one. I said lots of options. I said I wanted to start a project in memory of Dad, and this is the one he chose. So I have to get my button gear if I want to have it done by his birthday of this year, which was originally the plan. I squirreled a lot, and now I'm going to have a lot of work to do to get there. But here's where I currently am on this. Got all the border in, it matched up miraculously. I'm now starting to fill in some pieces, and then I'll slowly add in the flowers around the border and everything else. This one is being stitched on a piece of 32 count stone gray Lugana with all of the called for. And I don't think the grayish tone is really showing up. It's a unique color, the stone gray, if you've ever stitched on it. It's gray with some brown, with a little bit of a purple or mauve tone to it. But I think the colors are just really, really popping on there. All right, we are almost an hour in, and there's only 4 projects left. It's a very long first video, but may as well show it all right now, right? Next up is the coveted by many Monopoly game board. I was lucky enough to get a copy of this from a wonderful woman on Facebook in one of the D-Stash groups. I put it up as I was in search of it and wanted to stitch it for my son, and she messaged me and said she had a copy and was willing to sell it. So I did not pay the kind of exorbitant eBay prices that are going on around this pattern, but was able to get a copy. My youngest son, who's 21, he has been collecting Monopoly games since he was probably 8. We have every version you could think of, from Star Wars, Harry Potter. He's got one, I don't even remember what it's called, but basically you can buy brands. You can buy Coca-Cola and Nike and other brands in it instead of properties. So he loves it. I wanted to get this stitched for him so that he'll be able to hang it in his home. I am stitching this on a piece of 32 count water lily linen, which I let him pick what color background he would want for it. Did he want to go with a white? Did he want kind of the original green color of the board games? What did he want? And he wanted a really light green, like the originals. So we are doing it on water lily. I've got a start in the corner. This is going to be a big piece. I think it's going to be 24 by 24 inches when it's done, being done on a 32 count. So going to be a very large piece, but it's going to be worth it because it's one that'll mean a lot to him. He helped pick out some of the things, and my mom actually found the fabric, so she was up at the closest LNS we have is Threadneedle Street in Issaquah, Washington. It's a great little store. I don't get up there as often because it is about 45 minutes away, but my mom happened to be up that way meeting some friends for something, so she went in and she said, "Do you need anything?" I said, "If they have any light green linen, let me know." And she stood there taking pictures of it all and which ones were on the bolts, and we could get the custom cut size that I needed. And so it's been a family affair getting this project pulled together. Next is another Teresa Kogut. I think this is one many have done as well. This is the land that I love. This was kind of my year of starting all the really big projects. I'm not sure what I was thinking, but was in a big mood. I am stitching this one. I started this in 2022, and I'm stitching this on 32 count Lugana color Vanilla Frappe from Wabi Sabi Linens, which you can get from Teresa at Kitten Stitcher, or Kitten Stitcher, sorry, Teresa at Kitten Stitcher. I believe one of her sons dyes these fabrics, and I just want to tell you, this is the best feeling Lugana I have ever used, I have ever stitched on, and I almost just want a blanket made out of whatever he does to this fabric. It's so soft and so beautiful. Let me stand back a little bit, because this one's a little bit bigger. Look at that fabric. Is that not gorgeous? The way it has almost like, looks like aged paper, and it's so beautiful. Again, this is one that I got the border all in on, which looks a little wonky right there. I got the border all in on, and will now start filling it in. I'm very excited to have kind of this whole bottom piece of the fabric, but I'll be able to stitch something else on because it is so gorgeous and so soft and just a dream to stitch on. So, oh, we have made it to the last two projects. And those, the next one is in this sleeve bag that I made with just a little anchor charm that I found at Michael's in the jewelry making section. So I popped it on there. Coordinated fabric inside. This one is Summer Quaker by Lila's Studio. Had to jump on. I mean, of course I had to jump on stitching this one. There are a few people, I think Laura from, she's Paper Laura on Instagram. I'm so sorry, Laura, that I don't remember your Flosstube channel name. You just automatically pop up in my feed every week when you upload a new video. But she is doing a stitch along with this, or a start along, at least for many of us. I am doing this one on 36 count linen in the color Ledger by Bestitch Me. Let me find which way's up. Again, beautiful piece of fabric. Can we just admire the modeling and colors? And that is very true to color. That is the center border. So if we look at the pattern, that's the seaweed border going around the center box. I had done a center start on this one on the day that I started it and was getting waves in, and then hit the July borders goal that I set for myself. So I went through, stitched in all of that seaweed border, and now I'm kind of going to be able to go wherever I want and whatever I feel like stitching on this, which is kind of fun to think about since that's in the middle. I can go any direction. One of the things that's in this bag too that I haven't shown, which is in a lot of my project bags, are just these little, I think everybody's probably seen them, but these little thread beds. I just make these out of whatever scrap fabric or fat quarters I have laying around. My mom, sorry Mom, I owe you a couple more. She keeps asking for some more because she wants one in every project bag she has too. And I haven't gotten around to making those for her. Oh, I was wrong. There was a small one hiding in there. So now we have two more. This next one is, let's start to see if that helps with the glare. Bushel and a Peck by Lottie Da. I think this is really pretty. This is one that I just pulled. I was like, okay, it needs a gray, a green, a red, and a yellow. And I just pulled from my stash of what I had. So I am not using the called for. But this is being stitched on a 32 count Legacy Lugana from Picture This Plus. And I'm using cherry cobbler, baking tin, spinach, and honeycomb, all from Classic Colorworks. some pretty colors. And on the legacy, see if we can get some of that modeling to show. Here's where we are. I had originally started kind of here and started to do some flowers, and then I just put in that entire outside border last week, again as part of July borders. I think that one actually I should keep out and really push for a finish. I think I could get that one knocked out pretty quickly. And then the last project. This is, again, some fabric from Shiplap Quilt Company. Put this bag together. Fun green zipper to make it pop. This one was like, I thought I was done with it last year, maybe earlier this year, and then I decided, no, I don't want to be done. I had started flea market baskets when it first came out, and it's such a pretty pattern. It really is gorgeous. And I got the whole center done, and I was like, oh, it's a lot of stitching to get all of this gingham in here. And then I saw Jessica at Sweetwater Stitcher. She just did the center and made it into a pillow. And I thought, genius. The woman's a genius. It's such a cute part, and then I can move on to something else. So I finished the center, set it aside, and it was in my box of finishing. It's in the closet. And it's just sat there. I've never finished the pillow. And for some reason, this last month, it started speaking to me again. So, pulled it back out, and I started working on it again, and put in that border. July border. I put in that stuff around the side, and now I can just start filling in the gingham, while at the same time, I can pop into these areas and put in those colored baskets. So I can work on different parts. And that's what I think is the genius, if I do say so myself, of the July borders, is because you can pop around a project once you have the border in and don't have to worry about counting so much about where you're stitching from if you want to stitch a different motif or a different part of it. So that's everything. We actually hit the end of all of my WIPs. I've got, as I said, probably about 15 projects kitted up and ready to start. So maybe the next video I'll do is kits, and we can start to figure out what I want to start next, because I do have some serious startitis and I'm itching to start something new. So maybe that'll be the next thing that we jump into. But I just want to thank everybody. If you made it this far, if you decided to even click play and watch my very first video, thank you. I know there's some technical errors here, there's some lighting problems. I'm going to be pulling my husband in to try to help solve and fix that, or maybe one of my boys, since they watch a lot of YouTube and can help me out with it. But this has been fun, and I think I'll be back to do another one, so I'll probably do the kit parade. And then, just because work does tend to get a little bit crazy and I don't get as much stitching time in all the time as I like, I probably will do an every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks. Video 3 might be when I'll have enough to show. But that's what I'm thinking for right now. And again, just want to say thank you so much if you even clicked play to watch this. Have a wonderful stitchy week, and I will see you again really soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.